Okay, welcome back to One Piece Anime Review, episode 313. We're reviewing the first two episodes of the One Piece live action series, released fairly just a couple weeks ago. I've been hearing a lot of good things about this series, and I figured though, why not check it out? So last night I watched the first two episodes, and here we go. The first episode is called Romance Dawn, a nod to the original one shot that spawned the series. I believe also the first I don't think it was the first chapter of the series, but I know it was the first story arc of the series. And mostly put in the case of the first episode, it's basically adapting the entire story arc, which was like a few chapters. Original, like it took up like, if I remember correctly, about 3 episodes in the actual anime. Here it takes up one episode in 1 hour, and I think it was like 10 minutes. It was a real long episode. So the episode starts up with Luffy on his boat, which, of course, a lot of this you can definitely say is expanding upon what was mentioned but never seen in the series. We see Luffy when he's on his boat, which I think it might be the same boat seen in the flashbacks in the anime, where he's trying to form his crew, and also his boat is leaking. So then he, of course, gets some food on board. Why is it leaking? I don't know. Luffy is he doesn't sail very well. So he had just sailed out that very day from the Wind Village. Before continuing here, let's talk about the flashbacks. The flashbacks are mostly in line, mostly with how the anime present basically the flashback of Luffy's childhood, a little bit, where we see Miko's Patry bar, except being like a Western style bar like it was in the anime. Here it's like a bar you see at a dock, where it's like outdoors. I thought this was a bit weird, to say the least. I'm not sure exactly why it was looking like this for, but it was. Like, is Windmill Village basically based on a dock? I don't know, it's weird. So, Luffy, of course, I at least appreciate, though, he's not a crybaby like he was in the anime, which thank God for that. So, Shane comes back and tries to prove how man he is, and the anime does not show this of him stabbing himself near in the eye. Look how much of a man he is. Now in the show, they do show this, and they even show like Shanks sewing up the wound on his face. And now in the anime, the way they present this is like not only after Luffy did this, like he got in an argument. He got basically an argument with Shanks over what happened with the bandits, and that's when he had the Gum Gum fruit. In the show, it's a bit different, where it is mostly just like the bandits do show up like you do in the thing. And here's the thing: they pour water not on his head. They dump basically a bottle on the ground, and he asks Miko for a mop. Yes, a mop. I'm thinking, what century is he using a mop? So a mop. So he cleans it up, and of course the guy makes a mess. And he leaves. And of course, makes about not on Shanks' head, surprising like it was in the anime. Not sure why that was changed, whether it's a weird change. Luffy, of course, not happy with the fact he did. So basically, that's when he went to another room. That's when he ate the Gum Gum fruit. Except the Gum Gum fruit be at the bar, and Shanks trying to stop him. Shanks in the show does not find out he ate the Gum Gum fruit until we see him test out his abilities, which he proceeds to break one of Miko's chairs. And then the bandits show up again. And of course, Luffy, of course, basically tries to send up for Shanks. And then we see this awesome sequence when Lee of the Bandits basically takes Luffy. And then we see the red hair pirate just basically get into a brawl. A very well choreographed brawl with the bandits. Like we see Yasep. You can tell Yasep because the freaking bandana. Because, like in the anime and the manga, he has that bandana on his forehead. So we know that's Yasep. That's Usopp's father. So, of course, and Lucky Rux, who basically is beating up one of the guys with a drumstick. I thought this was a fun brawl. And then we have Shanks take up the guy out to sea. Then, this is something quite interesting, though. Like, they're out at sea. Now, a lot of this flashback is shown a little bit in episode 2. But I'm going to continue a little bit with the present stuff later. But we have the flashback end with Luffy being rescued by Shanks. Like, the guy just disappears. And we see the Sea King. Basically, I thought was really cool about Netflix doing this. Because Netflix is what made this. The Sea King looks exactly what he does in the anime. like, it looks a lot more threatening. It looks like, it basically is treated like a big shark thing. But I at least got to praise the fact it made it scary looking. And also, we do see that, now, unlike, let's say, it's a little bit changed from the way it was in the actual anime, where in the anime, the Sea King bites Shanks' arm, and Shanks is in the water while he's hugging Luffy. In the show, Shanks is in a boat, and that's when he uses... Now, anybody that's watched the anime knows what he did here. He used Haki on him, on the Sea King, telling him to get lost, and the Sea King left. In the anime, it's more of a cartoonish effect, which didn't mind that change. And of course, Luffy sees he lost his arm, but he's like happy to see him. And then we see where Luffy gets given his famous hat. Now, Luffy is not crying in the scene. And it's more like off in a corner, so like on the dock near the Shanks' ship, which that was a really a neat idea for a change. The scene is presented exactly the way it is in the show, which good job on the part of the thing for doing it. And then Shanks goes off. Yeah, this actually was really good. Something I really enjoyed. Cutting back to present day, where Luffy is seen getting in the boat and he goes to sleep. Now, unlike in the original anime, where he's basically brought on board a cruise ship, in the show, we see Alvia's pirates attacking their pirate ship and launching a raid. Her having his club, but for some reason, has got like a duck tip on it for some reason. Though later on they show removed. Maybe it wasn't their club she used. And her line, the thing is like, who's the most powerful pirate in the sea? In the anime, who's the most beautiful woman here? And Luffy calls her ugly. And Luffy proceeds to... This, of course, is a bit of change because Luffy is out of a barrel. Of course, talks to Kobe, which is a great scene. Now, the whole thing of basically Luffy talking to Kobe on a Vita ship, this is actually a nod to the abridged version of East Blue. What do I mean by that? Well, because in the abridged version, they had Luffy meet Kobe on a Vita ship. In the anime, it was actually on the cruise ship because they're raiding the ship anyways. Yeah. So, of course, they basically just convince him, like, come with me. We'll sneak off. Though he accidentally basically makes some noise because he doesn't know where he's going. And he fights the Althea pirates. And then, of course, we see some more of his abilities. And then we see him use the Gum Gum pistol first time and sending Althea into the water. You think, presumably not see her again, but she'll probably return. Don't worry about that. But hopefully they have an actress who's slimmed down because I've seen the actress that plays her. And I don't know if they're going to slim her down or not because in the anime they actually had her eat a devil fruit and she slimmed down tremendously. Or she's become a smoking hot babe. Yep. And then, of course, basically right after this, they go to Shell's Island, which is, of course, where we meet. And before this is where we go to 6 islands. Of course, they do mention Roronoa Zoro here, which they mention how much he got reputation. And they mention like the fact that he was in the ship, but he had mentioned his name, I saw a list of bounties, your name wasn't on the list, and she kills the guy. Then we see Roronoa Zoro, which I at least gotta praise this for Zoro's look. The swords look fantastic. His look is very good, and they actually kept this in from the anime and manga. The 3 earrings on his ear, which I at least gotta appreciate, though it was the correct ear. Good in the part where he's praying for someone he lost. Presumably, it's probably his childhood friend, who of course he runs into someone who looks like her later on, and then he runs into Mr. Seven. Which, of course, this is actually a scene that was mentioned in the main series. Yes, this was a scene that was mentioned. We have him being recruited to Baroque Works. You're thinking, wait, Baroque Works? Is that a bit early for Baroque Works? Well, this was a scene that was like I said, was mentioned in the main series. They was recruited, and it's like, you're number 7. They should have said number 1. You see him flipping the bird off. He fights him briefly, and he proceeds to cut the man in half, killing him. And then he stuffs him in the bag. And he goes to Shell's Island to basically get a drink and saves the little girl, which is, I think it might be the same girl from the anime, don't know. Now, when we meet Zoro in the anime, he's already strung up. This scene is mostly just adding Luffy there and just basically showing it there. And this is what we're introduced. Now, prior to this, just after Zoro's introduction, we're introduced to Nami, played by Emily Rudd, which, oh my gosh. I at least gotta praise the show for getting this part right. Because Nami is described as one of the most beautiful women in the entire series. And spot on for casting this part right, because Emily Rudd is gorgeous. She's a beautiful woman, and they did a great job with this. This is a scene that is actually not from the manga per se. I think this was actually one of her early. I think this may have been from the Orange Island arc. Orange Town arc, I believe it was. Yes, where she hijacks a ship, which is the ship Luffy basically sees him on, of course, later on. Then we see her meet up with Luffy on Shell Island, which is actually a change. Because kind of the way the anime presented the first time these two kind of saw each other was actually the first episode.
Nikki, supper's ready.
Okay. Yep. To be continued, because supper's ready. When I get back, I will resume talk about the opening 2 episodes. Okay? Later.